S&P 500 is up 64 points to 6,707. The NASDAQ up 286 points to 22,808. KTRS Sports, Mizzou running back Ahmad Hardy has been named the College Football Hall of Fame Player of the Month. Hardy currently leads all of the SEC in rushing by nearly 200 yards over his closest competitor. And former Mizzou basketball guard Sean East has signed a contract with the NBA's Utah Jazz. East played for Edmonton last season of the Canadian Basketball League, averaging better than 23 points a game. KTRS weather today, mostly sunny, high of 84. Tonight, clear with an overnight low of 61. Tomorrow, mostly sunny with a high of 82. Right now, we have 71 degrees. The time is coming up on 10:07. I'm Sobe Bay, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
And now, the Frank and Jill Show. It's Frank Cusimano, Jill Farmer on the Big 550 KTRS, the talk of St. Louis. Powered by STL Medical Weight Loss. See the Dr. Joe difference at stlmedweightloss.com.
Good morning and welcome to the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS. Frank Cusimano, Jill Farmer, Connor McCarthy. We're here till 12 o'clock. Sarah Fensky is going to join us at 10:35. She's the executive editor of St. Louis Magazine. She'll be talking about Sheriff Montgomery, who a lot has been revealed, threatening to punch people, lying about the amount of guns he possesses. I don't think it's going to have a good ending for Sheriff Montgomery. And then we're going to have Altair Travel on the air today, Jill.
Yeah, and big change. One of my favorite things about traveling, I don't know about you, Frank, you've actually traveled to Europe a lot more than I have, but isn't it kind of fun to get your passport stamped? You know how you give them your passport and they stamp it with the different countries you go to and you keep track of that? All of that is changing thanks to some new guidelines for anybody who's traveling to Europe. It's a big change. It's not the kind of thing that any of us have to be scared about, but you should sort of be aware of what's happening because it's one of those things you don't want to be caught unaware about.
So the significance of stamping for you, why is that pleasing?
I just think it's fun to have I got to look back at my passport and can see the different countries I went to, the different stamps in there. Is that not anything that you've ever cared
I don't know.
about?
I don't have a stamp. I have a passport, but it's stampless. I've never been anywhere. But
you have
I
the
guess
passport.
I won't. I do have the passport.
As a matter of fact, I saved my old passport just because I think it's fun to go back and look at the stamps. But the truth is, nobody's really keeping track of us, right, by those stamps. And I think this new system is part of a security. It's part of what Big Brother keeping an eye on us and keeping track of what countries we're going to.
Maybe you can still ask for the stamps. You know,
that's
you can
a good idea. I'll have to
give like a stamp station.
We'll have to ask our travel expert that as well. Also, some insight as to what they're hearing, whether there's travel delays as it's related to the continuing government shutdown, or whether they've been able to stem that slowdown that was predicted because of TSA agents and of course the air traffic controllers being impacted by this shutdown as well. She's going to have all the tea for us, so to speak.
I'll tell you what's a good deal is that Allegiant Air. Is that it? That's the one right across the river? Mm-hmm. I got a buddy that goes to Florida like once every 3 weeks. He gets on there, pays $10 for parking. It's like a $65 to $80 flight. I mean, it just blows away the other airlines. I don't know.
They only fly to a few places, right?
Yeah. And it's right where he needs to go. It's just the perfect thing to do.
Right. You have to catch them on the days that they fly, and to get this, and especially those prices are not always available. The one thing I will say, out of fairness, if you go on Allegiant, they do charge you for everything, including your carry-on, and if you want a bottle of water.
Wait a minute. So if you carry something on.
Yep.
Wow. I wonder what they charge.
You pay for everything but you have to pick your seat, and then you pay for the seat that you have to pick out. So it is cheaper, but it's kind of like when you fly Frontier or Spirit or Allegiant or any of those. When you look at the total after you add up some of the other things, the price differential is not usually as big as it is when you first see those prices.
Yeah, I'd love to find out what do they pay to get a boy. You'd think bring in a gym bag or something or a backpack, they charge you for that?
Yeah, my daughter, we're flying her for something wedding related, and I think we put her on Spirit Airline. It was the same kind of thing. It's like, okay, well, if I have a carry-on bag and a checked bag, and I want to pick my seat so that I could potentially have room for my carry-on, the whole thing was considerably more expensive.
His last flight was $80, and then $10 a day for parking. Boy, the parking at the airport is just crazy.
That makes a big difference.
Yeah.
I have friends that live in Chicago that will drive up to Milwaukee to fly because it's such a egregious rate to park at Midway or O'Hare if you're leaving your car for several days, and they say it's worth the extra hour of driving just to get that lower price for parking there as well.
So I was just at the Sheraton about 5 minutes ago, and I always say
Were
hi.
you stealing more food?
No.
Looking for free
There's
cookies?
nothing out today.
Oh,
Looking for a
sorry.
scone. No, but they have a manager who just could not be nicer. And he's got the most unique name. And I bet nobody in this room, and maybe nobody in this audience, has ever actually known a person by the name of Biff. I mean, I remember Biff Pocorobo was a baseball player a long time ago, but
I mean, Back to the Future.
yeah,
but
that's the one.
That's the one.
Does anybody know? I mean, I imagine somebody went to MICDS or Burroughs or,
Yeah, it's a nickname for something
Is
else.
Biff short for
right?
something? I was going to ask.
I think so. I think it's kind of like a Kip or one of those names that you have. It's always been a nickname for it, but I
probably
don't
have
know
to have
what
a lot
it
of
is.
green sport coats and topsiders and stuff like that to be named Biff. But
I shocked a friend who's younger than me that I had a friend in high school. His name was Bud, and she didn't believe me. And I said it was, again, it's a nickname. I can't remember what Bud's real name was, but he was a second or a third in the lineup, and so
oh yeah, I
he
hear
was
some
Bud.
buddies and Bud, but Biff, wow, that's crazy.
Is it short in his case for anything else? Did you ask him?
I did not.
And so you get to do some reporting on that
Yeah.
and bring that information back to us so we can, because he would probably be the best source of finding out what it's short for, unless the internet has any insights on that, Connor.
There's some insights. It looks like there's no defined name that it's short for, though.
Mm-hmm. So if you're the third Buford in the
Yeah,
family,
maybe.
then you could go by Biff.
Apparently, it also used to be a slang for like hit or to to blow, and if you got hit in the jaw, you got biffed in the jaw, and that was where the name came
Really?
from.
Wow. All right. All right, we got a good opening dialogue coming up. Stay with us. Royal Banks of Missouri text line 84126. You can call us 314-931-5877. We won't pick up, though. And you can watch us on YouTube and Facebook. This is the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS.
Oh, yes.
Have some fun with your friends while eating great food. Of course, I'm talking about the Village Bar, the only place to watch the big game while eating the world's best cheeseburger. There's a reason people have made this their favorite hangout for decades. The game's on, and so is the grill. We'll see you at the Village Bar.
Black Friday savings are underway at appliance discounters. Take an additional 5% off any sale price. Speed Queen, GE Profile, Cafe, Bosch, LG, Frigidaire. It applies to all the brands. Next day delivery and installation, interest-free financing, locally owned, and the largest appliance retailer in St. Louis. 5% off any sale price, 6 locations, Afton, St. Charles, Baldwin, South County, and Maplewood, or online at theappliancediscounters.com.
Truck drivers, don't miss out on the unmatched consistency of a Schneider driving job. At Schneider, you can find a driving position that fits your lifestyle and goals, all while getting the pay you deserve. Plus, Schneider drivers operate state-of-the-art, well-maintained equipment and have access to award-winning benefits and a 24/7 support team. Explore Schneider's huge selection of driving jobs today and find your perfect fit at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
Schrader Funeral Homes and Crematory, St. Louis's oldest family-owned funeral home, offering complete funeral, burial, and cremation services, including an on-site reception center and crematory. 150 years of serving St. Louis families. Visit them at Schrader.com.
When you go and get your car washed, do you really care which car wash you go to? Yes, because not all car washes are created equal. Country Club Car Wash is the local family-owned and family-operated car wash since 1989. All these other ones that are popping up, they're all run by out-of-town hedge funds. Keep it local, keep it great. Touchless car washes, no brushes, inside and out. 5 area locations, Country Club Car Wash or cccwstl.com.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardy contractor and Pella window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050. And have a Banner Day.
From the same guys who brought you the watering bowl, say hello to the Number 2 crew. The Number 2 crew will visit your yard once a week in St. Louis City, St. Louis County, or St. Charles County, and they'll take care of your dog's business. Think of the number 2 crew as your yard's best friend. 314-717-8880 or the number2crew.com. The number 2 crew reporting for duty each and every week in your backyard. The number 2 crew or the number2crew.com.
Heidi Klaus, Josh Gilbert, and Bob Ramsey. Weekday afternoons at 3 on the Big 550.
Always current and always on.
KTRS.
At Maryville University, we power dreams, not just degrees. For nearly 150 years, we've empowered graduates to build successful careers. At Maryville, expect a rigorous, technology-driven, mentor-inspired education in a diverse and inclusive learning environment. We help you take it to the next level, no matter what field you choose. Now is the time to turn your ambition into action and transform your dream into reality. Start your journey at maryville.edu.
And now the opening dialogue with Frank and Jill on the Big 550 KTRS. Powered by Worldwide Technology Raceway.
All right, thought one. You probably just heard about it in one of our local newscasts. We're going to need some participation on this one. A new sports bar opening in Maplewood this June. It's called the Sports Bra. It will empower, support, and promote women and girls sports to the St. Louis community. So if you want to watch the Blues play in the Stanley Cup in June, if they're there, or the Cardinals play the Cubs in June, or City SC, or later the NFL, you'll be out of luck at this sports bar. They will only show women's sports. Our football team, the St. Louis Slam, they'll show them. Lou Few's athletic department teams or soccer squads, they'll show them. Roller derby, yes. Women's teams from our colleges, SLU, UMSL, WashU, and Mizzou, and the women's professional leagues like the WNBA, the soccer, and the hockey leagues they have. It's a franchise. 2 women who once played softball together are the owners. They have franchises in Portland, Boston, Indianapolis, and Las Vegas. So what do you think? Can this work? Will you go? Is it a good idea? Niche things, as we know, can be a success. There's no doubt about it. Or could you say those things aren't watched by many to begin with, and it won't work? Royal Banks of Missouri text line 84126. Thoughts, please.
I'll be really interested to hear what people have to say about it. I mean, I think there's a very fair argument to be made that a lot of women's sports were not watched because we didn't have the option to watch a lot of them. It's never been, it's always been, second fiddle, to say the least, to being able to watch men's sports. And as more women did watch things like Olympic volleyball, and that started driving a lot of interest on national volleyball, to college teams garnering a lot more support than they used to. Same thing with women's basketball, obviously the Caitlin Clark effect. So I think it'll be interesting. I think it boils down to this, Frank. There's a lot of good sports bars in St. Louis with good TVs where I can watch the game. But if the location and the food and the ambiance and the things that make any restaurant or bar successful aren't good, then I'm not going to go there just to go see a game. I'm going to always choose those other factors are going to be important as well. You can't just have it be about that. So I think it's going to be a more well-rounded picture than some people are making the conversation.
Do we know
this?
Like, what space is it going in Maplewood?
Where Boogaloo used to be was there
okay.
for many years. They closed
in
2024.
Yeah,
yeah. So it's right off Manchester. I think that should be a pretty central location as well, if you guys are familiar with that. We're talking a little bit about airlines and airplanes. Interesting, we did not make the list, thank goodness, for the airports with the biggest flight delays, but an airport that I know a lot of St. Louis's fly to and in and out of, Dallas-Fort Worth, number 1 on the list, according to the Bureau of Transportation Statistics. Washington National in Ronald Reagan Washington National in D.C., number 2. Denver, I've flown in there a lot. I can attest to how often it's delayed. Next, same thing with Atlanta, another one as well. And then Salt Lake City has the highest on-time departure, more than 84% of all its flights departing on schedule. And LAX, also number 2 on the on-time.
I wonder why Salt Lake City would be so high.
Why they manage to get their planes in and out. It's sunny. The weather's nice there. It's a little. I mean, Denver has this too, more sunny days than a lot of other places in the country. But if that's the case, why is Denver one of the worst and Salt Lake City one of the best?
Didn't Salt Lake City just have a big renovation?
Yeah, the same.
So maybe it makes it better? I don't know.
Yeah, it could be the same HOA architects that are doing the St. Louis huge remodel of our airport, allegedly over the next 5 to 6 years, are who redid the Salt Lake City airport as well.
All right, thought two. More participation from our audience on the Royal Banks of Missouri text line, 84126. I don't know if you've seen the video on Facebook. I sent it to the kids last night, and the first response was from Brooke. You're on Facebook? Laugh out loud. Okay, I'm a boomer. I get it. But the video is of a lovely bride at a beautiful wedding, and she's just about to cut the first slice of this incredible-looking white wedding cake. But right before she puts the knife in, this gorgeous yellow lab jumps and devours the cake and eats it up. The icing is all over his face. The camera work is terrific. The crowd was more, I think, amused than aghast. The bride was stunned. I say that I think this is going to be much more memorable at this wedding if she would have just sliced it and there wouldn't have been a dog. I mean, she'll have something to look back on that maybe nobody else can. Such a gorgeous animal, too. And he was just taking a shot. How can you blame the pup? He saw the cake and went for it. It's like the famous quote by former ABC commentator Beano Cook. He was criticizing a football coach for going for a tie instead of the win at the end of a game. And he said, it's like if you're up in an airplane and Stephanie Powers gets the seat right next to you. You got to take a shot. So it leads me to this question. The best story of your dog making a move. Reggie has a special moment. Monique has this chocolate chip pound cake, which we call the better than sex cake. It's the best thing I've ever eaten. So we're having a birthday dinner for daughter-in-law Macy at Peacemakers. And so Monique called ahead and said, could we bring a cake? They said, yeah, sure. So we're just about to go. Monique is in the bathroom, and I see the cake on the counter, and I realize that young Reg had devoured the back side of it. Got probably 2 slices, maybe 2.5. So I did not want my best friend to face any scorn from Monique, who can get kind of heated. I immediately wrapped the cake up and put it in the car. And so she's walking out. She goes, where's the cake? I said, I already put it in the car. And so I managed to kind of hide the cake as we walked in the Peacemakers, and everybody sat down. And then I went to the back of the restaurant, and I went to the manager. I said, look, we got an issue here. Can you make this cake look like, that it's okay, that you can cut out those slices to make it look okay? He goes, we'll do our best. So they brought it out after the dinner, and within like 20 seconds, Monique said, wait a minute, what's going on? That's not a full cake. What's going on here? So I had to confess. And I saved Reggie's life, but it was an example of a dog just taking a shot.
Yeah, that's what they do. When we lived in, my parents lived in Colorado while I was in college, and they rescued a dog that was a husky, sweetest, named Kiev, sweetest dog, very loving. But my dad was getting ready to cook some big steaks, had family in town, and thought he'd put him on a high enough shelf, and went inside for just a second to get some more seasoning, and came out, and all 4 of the steaks were gone. And to this day, we're like, how? He swears it was no more than 2 minutes, and they were absolutely gone. The best story is when my friend, a good friend of mine, was in high school. She said that, her kids were in high school, and they were kind of arguing in the kitchen, and a neighbor kept calling her and trying to tell her something, and she ignored the call. They went out and ate a big spaghetti dinner that had been served out on their patio, and the neighbor had been trying to call him to say the dog had been on the table, like eating off everybody's spaghetti. And by the time they got the info, it was a little too late. Thought number 2, none of us, I think, that enjoy an occasional cocktail or glass of wine are going to like to hear this, but the data just keeps pushing us, headlines all over the place, and some of the biggest publications in our country this morning saying that no amount of alcohol is safe for dementia risk. They still can't exactly figure out why, if it's because it has to do with it impacts sleep, creates more inflammation, or something to do with blood flow in the brain. But latest study, according to a professor of neuroscience at Yale University, says we just have to say is we used to think the healthiest way to approach drinking and brain health was to take about a drink a day. We were wrong on that. It turns out that you should only have a drink or two a week at most if you don't want to have a higher risk of dementia in old age.
Wow, that's interesting. You know, I never drank like any beer for a long, long time. My friends would always make fun of me. I have a career high. The record still exists of 3 beers at one time. But occasionally now, I mean, I do like to have like that Corona Light now. So, but
Well,
it's
and
probably
I
not
mean,
a
I
bad
think
idea.
a lot of people talked about the fact that during COVID we were home and they just got into the habit of having a glass of wine,
Yeah.
no more than 2 a night, and it was sort of like, yes, the doctor like, yeah, every day probably not the best, but at least if you keep it to that. And now we're like, wah wah. The news is we really shouldn't be drinking much
And,
at
like,
all.
Our parents lived in a time period where, I mean, my mom and dad didn't drink, but at 5 o'clock, a lot of people thought, oh, that was the time. You got to have your scotch.
The Mad Men era,
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly.
I know. And you know, for a while, people were saying that, and even Dr. Rick has said, you know, we've asked him, we wanted a different answer, so we've asked it different ways to him, and every single time he keeps coming back to saying, yeah, the news isn't good, but this latest, study of over 500,000 adults, I think at some point we're all going to have to concede. If we choose to do it, it's certainly a fine choice for an individual to make, but we may be paying a bigger price than any of us want to admit.
All right. Thought 3. Erica Kirk was at the White House yesterday accepting the Presidential Medal of Freedom for her late husband. It was Charlie Kirk's 32nd birthday. And this is not whether you agree with his politics or not, but it was so powerful when Erica relayed what her daughter wanted for her daddy on his birthday. Unbelievable. And she went on to say that her son, who's only 16 months old, became potty trained on that day, yesterday, at that age, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. All right, other items. Going to shoot a story on a school today that is about to open that will be a soccer academy. You won't go to your high school. You will be taking classes at this soccer academy. And during the day, you will be training and you will work out. It's the hockey version is actually working right now, thanks to Philip McRae. But it's an interesting concept that if you have a son or daughter who's really into soccer, and we know we have a lot of those in St. Louis, instead of going to, say, Parkway North or DeSmet or Villa, you will go to this school. And we'll see if it catches on. I think it could work in St. Louis. Finally, I was at East St. Louis yesterday, and what a cool place to play high school football. This season, these players are going to New Jersey, Florida, and Las Vegas to play games. I went to CBC SLU and Parkway West to play games. These players say that the hotels are really cool and the food is great. What a thrill for high school athletes. That's what you can do when you're playing for one of the best programs in America. And I'll say this is sometimes I don't like it when I hear about basketball teams doing all this traveling because it's always midweek. These kids probably don't miss much school because they're playing on a Saturday, they leave maybe on a Friday afternoon, and then they're back on a Sunday. So they're not missing school. I think it's kind of neat, and East St. Louis has one of the great programs in America.
Yeah, I mean, no one misses more school in my experience as a parent than kids in club sports.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous how much school, how many, those, and I know they're for-profit, the tournaments that are run in different cities, the clubs that want to be competitive, you have to compete in them. But I was not a happy camper as a parent, A, with the cost, and B, with the amount of Fridays and Mondays that were missed in both club volleyball and in rowing. I thought it was counter to what we were trying to teach the kids about responsibility and keeping them in school. Did you have that experience with the kids in basketball, the club basketball?
Well, they were all kind of weekend stuff, and baseball was all weekend stuff, so we didn't miss too much.
And golf, there wasn't such a thing as club golf, probably,
No,
was
those
there?
were all weekend events, yeah.
Several people have asked me, oftentimes I'm sitting in here drinking a protein shake every morning. It's just kind of what I have for breakfast. So I was very sad to see, I get Consumer Reports and get their alerts every day, that protein powders and shakes, a recent study that Consumer Reports did, have some of the highest levels of lead particularly those that are made with dairy proteins as opposed to the beef proteins. And the worst of all, believe it or not, were those in the plant-based protein powders. And I'm talking about enough that they actually recommend to people, in some cases, the Naked Nutrition, which is a vegan a vegan protein powder, and one called Huel Black Edition that you don't have any because it has 1,500 times the level of lead that the Consumer Reports recommend we have. The one that I drink most days is called Jocko Fuel and Milk Protein Shake, and it was supposedly had less additives than others. It's only recommended that I have 3.5 servings per week as a limit. Otherwise, it could help raise my lead levels. So if you don't get Consumer Reports, you can sign up for a free article or two. It's kind of worth Googling, and if you're a daily user of protein shakes, it's probably worth checking this out.
Aren't you the bearer of a lot of bad news?
I know today.
Can't
It's
have
just
protein
like,
shakes, can't have a beer. Oh my
Jill,
gosh.
we'd like you to sit out the rest of the entire. You've told us all the bad things that we're supposed to have.
From here on out. Yeah. All right. So those are some of the topics out there. Do you think the sports bra bar will work? Dogs taking a shot, you probably have a story. What about your alcohol consumption now as maybe opposed to when you were a little bit younger? Thoughts on all those? Come on aboard. Royal Banks of Missouri text line 84126.
Capital Advisory Group, Jeff Zufall and his team are here. And just a gentle reminder, I know it feels like fall flies by. There's too many things on your list. Taxes are probably the last thing you're worried about. It turns out it's an excellent time to review your taxes. It's a great time to take a look at your tax returns from last year with an expert who can look at them and say, you know what? There's some ways we can save you money. We can go back and file an amended file. We've had listeners that have texted in before and said, I took your advice. I went and met with Jeff Zufall and his team. He helped us go back and we got money returned to us because we had inadvertently overpaid on our taxes. This is a really good time for you to do that assessment with Jeff and his team, map out a plan for your spending, what's coming in, what's going out, what you need to change in the way that you budget and live your life so that you can live your dream retirement and do the things that you want to do in that season of life. Capital Advisory, grp.com, 636-394-5524.
Repairing chimneys, walkways, porches, foundations, entire homes, anything to do with brick or stone, you need a tuck pointer you can trust, and that, of course, is Morelli. Morelli is a family-run business started in 1991, and they're only as good as their last customer. That's why when you check out the reviews online at MorelliTuckPointing.com, you'll notice that they're actual customers who are singing the praises of Morelli. So if you need a tuck pointer, you need Morelli. 314-645-1387 or MorelliTuckPointing.com.
Hey, it's Julie Buck for our friends at Triad Bank. They are a full-service financial institution, and they've been in St. Louis for over 20 years with 2 locations, one at Clayton and Lindbergh, and the other one just west of 270 on Olive. If you've got your own business and you want to have a better banking experience, look no further than Triad Bank. Their mission is to provide a wide range of commercial and personal banking services to you and your business. For more, go to triadbanking.com.
Are you in the custom home market? The one name to know, Workhorse Construction. Brock Harvey, former Mizzou football player, has built Workhorse Construction with 17 years of experience, 17 years of quality control, and Workhorse Construction has 17 years of beautiful, one-of-a-kind designs and styles. Brock Harvey and his partners have built Workhorse Construction to be the best, and you need to see it for yourself. WorkhorseCG.com. That's WorkhorseCG.com.
John Beal Roofing has been proudly serving homeowners and businesses in the St. Louis metro area on both sides of the river in Missouri and Illinois for over 3 generations. A dependable roof begins with a team you can count on, and that's exactly what you get with John Beal Roofing. Recognized as one of Roofing Contractor Magazine's top 100 roofing companies, John Beal Roofing offers 24/7 emergency service and industry-leading warranties, including a lifetime workmanship warranty for total peace of mind. From upgrading an aging roof or completing a full replacement, the team at John Beal Roofing delivers solutions that are built to code, built to last, and handled with expert care. John Beal also responds quickly with reliable storm damage services backed by decades of experience and 24/7 emergency support. Get started today for expert service and a free, no obligation estimate by calling 1-800-NEW-ROOF. That's 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
It's the Big Sports Show with Sports Director Brendan Lisi. Weeknights 7 to 9 on the Talk of St. Louis, the Big 550, KTRS.
Welcome back, everybody. Frank and Jill show on a Wednesday morning. Really glad you're with us here today. I'm Jill Farmer, along with Frank Cusimano, Connor McCarthy here as well. Wednesday morning, always look forward to conversations, some juicy headlines and hot topics with Sarah Fenske, executive editor of St. Louis Magazine, editor of the St. Louis Daily Newsletter. And Sarah, I know you are not one to say, I told you so, but I did hear you say last week on Donnybrook that you thought that it was a good idea that Sheriff Alfred Montgomery was on house arrest and perhaps maybe even deserved to be arrested based on some of the accusations he was facing. And your colleagues gave you a hard time and said, no, I think this is a bit of an overreaction. Does it feel good to know you were potentially right about this, or what are your thoughts this morning?
Yeah, I kind of wish I was set to be on Donnybrook this week so I could just laugh in all their faces. You know, they were acting like I was overreacting to the news that was out there. And I said last week, I think there's a good chance he's going to be sent to jail on Tuesday. Well, that is exactly what happened. So they had this hearing where they were looking at, did he violate the terms of his pretrial release? And so they're not looking at his guilt. They're not looking at even the likelihood that he'll be found guilty on these felonies. But they were looking at, hey, in order to be out of jail while you await your day in court, you agree to certain things. You know, you can't do drugs. Often you can't get drunk. You can't have firearms. This guy was just violating all of them. You know, he got a burner phone so he could have communications related to witnesses in the case. He said he had 6 guns that he needed to turn over. Well, it turned out he had 14. It's like, how is your math that wrong? I think the judge was just sort of like fed up. Like, this is not a person who's taking this seriously. You know, it's kind of a privilege to be out of jail while you await your trial. And Alfred Montgomery lost that privilege yesterday.
And he could actually remain in jail for a year, depending on when the trial begins.
Yeah, it sounds like the earliest that he could go to trial would be next November. And, you know, I take no glee in that. I think this is kind of a flaw of the American justice system, that even if you say, okay, I'm ready, I want to go to trial, like, you brought this case against me, prove it, you know, it can take a year to get to that point. And so, yeah, this is pretty significant. And I think what makes this the craziest is that in the meantime, his people are saying, no, he's still the sheriff. He's in charge of this jail. Like, he has not stepped down. He has not gone on leave. It's a very complicated situation because he's an elected official. The Board of Aldermen doesn't have the power to just put him on leave. And so our sheriff is apparently running transports to the jails from the jail as he himself is detained there. It's just wild.
Yeah, perhaps not the best look for us nationally, but I did talk to a couple of attorneys who are close to me today and just kind of say, what's your reflection on looking at this point? And they said the witness tampering is probably one of the things that could be the most difficult for him, because most judges and juries and prosecutors in general just don't want somebody who's accused of a crime to be accused of intimidating witnesses and, for instance, saying things like, I'm going to punch you in the face, probably is not going to help his case here.
Yeah, I think those lawyers have it right. I think, you know, there's a reason my stomach turned when I heard about these allegations after previously somewhat defending this guy, is when there's charges pending against you, you have to do everything you can to keep your nose clean. There's a reason that people facing criminal charges will often say, I can't talk about these charges in the media. I'll just tell you I'm not guilty, or, I'm not going to talk about this with my staff. This guy seemed to be going around doing whatever he could to intimidate the very people that prosecutors are relying on for their case. You just can't do that, especially when these people report to you for their jobs.
Well, I'm glad Sarah Fensky, who's always been known as the Buford Pusser of St. Louis Magazine, tough on crime. I don't think anybody got that. Does anybody know who Buford Pusser is? Do you know who she is, Sarah?
Right over my head.
Okay. Yeah, he was a tough on crime Tennessee sheriff who really put the bad guys behind prison, but then it was just revealed in the last year that he actually had killed his wife. So
this is what you're comparing me to, Frank?
No, the comparison was that you're tough on crime, which we love to hear. That's great. All right. Great story.
I will say this last Donnybrook is it's worth a watch on YouTube. I found myself like, I'm now arguing for law and order against these four clowns here. What's going on?
Well played. So a terrific story about this former Mizzou professor setting a new world record for the Ozark Trail. Elaborate on this for our audience, please.
Yeah, this is this guy, Tim Beisinger. I might well be mispronouncing his name, but, he was in Missouri for quite a few years, fell in love with this trail, and it's got this 239 backbone, the main part of this trail, where he decided to go out and try to break the record for the fastest that anybody had ever done this. And he did do it, and it was wild. You really need to read this story at stlmag.com. He got one of the nastiest looking cases of trench foot I've ever seen in my life. But he kept going. He was clocking like 60 miles a day. He shattered this record, and I don't know that anybody's going to break it.
Yeah, I mean, carrying all of his camping stuff, sleeping 2 hours a night, it is a really fun story and worth the read for sure. Most of our eyes glaze over when we hear things talking about stuff like planning and zoning, or looking at the rules around development projects. But the mayor says this needs of the city of St. Louis, Kara Spencer, is putting what could be monumental changes on that front and center, because she says the city has been essentially, my words, shooting itself in the foot for a long time because our regulations are so inconsistent and frankly so bad. It discourages redevelopment. What do you know about that?
Yeah, so my colleague Eric Schmid was at a panel that Kara Spencer spoke on where she outlined this in sort of a crystal clear way that I hadn't seen before. So he wrote up a great story about it. Again, you can read it at stlmag.com. But basically outlining that rather than saying, okay, here's all the hoops you need to jump through. You need to go to this department, and then you're going to have to go to this, and this is going to be the different way to do this, which is historically how the city has treated development. Like, we don't really need you, so we're going to make this complicated. She says, we need to find a way to say yes. And so not only does that mean sort of having the reflexive answer be, yeah, let's try to find a way to help, but also doing this in a way where people can get a consistent set of rules that will outline, okay, here are the minimal hoops you have to jump through. Here are the agencies that are going to be involved. We're even going to get these agencies all in the same room so that we can figure out what some problems might be and head them off, versus how this has been handled in, I don't know, the last couple decades, which is, okay, you finish at one agency, you think you have a proper stamp. What's the word I'm looking for? You have the stamp that says you can go forward.
Stamp of approval.
The next one. Yeah. And they're then second guessing this thing you thought was finished. And then you have to go through the next part of the maze. It's just, I think, going to be a fundamental reorientation of how things work over there. I think developers would tell you it's long overdue. I think neighbors would say, okay, we need to make sure that neighbors are still having a seat at the table and that those concerns are still heard. I think the mayor would say, we're still going to do that. You know, when you have a project like a data center, there's going to be a hearing that's baked into that. There is going to be the chance for neighbors to weigh in on things like bars. But if somebody's just opening some small business in an industrial area, why are we making this so hard for them?
Kathleen Madigan, Emo's Pizza and Stiefel Theater. Explain.
Well, so she was here, I believe this was on Sunday, or maybe it was Saturday. She was here over the weekend. This is her hometown. She's from Florissant. And Emo's Pizza and Stiefel teamed up where they made her own personal Emo's backstage. And this is what I love about this. It just really looked like an Emo's. I'm like, how did they do this? Well, it turns out they got the actual tables and chairs from the Hampton Avenue location. And they set this up and just like a ton of Provel in the refrigerator. You know, she's got like an Emo's jacket hanging there in the wardrobe. Kathleen Madigan says, this is the greatest green room that's ever existed in the history of Earth. She loves emos.
And before we let you go, some people in Democratic local politics here think that the person who's doing some violence de-escalation training, supposedly for people who are activists who are planning to be out at the No Kings rally this weekend, maybe wasn't the best choice for the job. Explain that to us.
Yeah, this is a story my colleague Ryan Kroll has covered in the past, that this guy who'd been the director of the St. Louis County Democrats, he was charged with assault, supposedly assaulting an elected official. Now this is the guy who's going to be teaching de-escalation to people coming into this rally this weekend. So some Democrats definitely wondering, really, is this the right guy to be teaching this?
Sarah Fenske, as always, interesting stuff. Folks can check out all the great things you write at St. Louis Magazine on the web, and then you can sign up for the free St. Louis Daily newsletter just by going to the St. Louis Magazine website. Anything fun coming up on the 314 podcast with you?
Yeah, we are dropping an episode tomorrow that I think people are really going to want to listen to. We talked to Steve Smith, who is the CEO of the firm New and Found, which did City Foundry. He had some things to say that I think are going to generate some headlines. So look for that in your inbox tomorrow morning if you get the St. Louis Daily.
Yeah, interesting guy. We've had him on the show, too. I look forward to that conversation. As always, Sarah, thanks so much, and we'll look forward to hearing from you next week as well.
All right, thank you.
3 Bay Barbecue and Bakery. I just want to plant the seed now, because if you're like me, you're about 30 minutes away from your stomach starting to send some strong signals. And if you wait until you get too darn hungry, your brain is going to make a decision often that your body will regret later. I'm talking about the drive-through. If you want homemade food made absolutely deliciously, that's cared about by people who you can trust, because they, trust me, love food even more than you do, 3 Bay Barbecue and Bakery, the place to go. Carol and Rick Gross have been successful owners, small business owners of a gas station for many years. Their passion was food. They started out with a food truck. It was so wildly popular. They decided to turn the service bays of their gas station into a great little restaurant. And that's what 3 Bay Barbecue and Bakery is. Don't forget the bakery part. Homemade desserts that will absolutely knock your socks off. Take some friends over, meet there, have a lunch meeting today. Call them, make an order for your next work party, have them cater it, or just swing by yourself and get a delicious lunch in the Phillips 66 station at Clayton Road and 141. 3 Bay Barbecue and Bakery.
When you go and get your car washed, do you really care which car wash you go to? Yes, because not all car washes are created equal. Country Club Car Wash is the local family-owned and family-operated car wash since 1989. All these other ones that are popping up, they're all run by out-of-town hedge funds. Keep it local. Keep it great. Touchless car washes, no brushes, inside and out. 5 area locations, Country Club Car Wash, or cccwstl.com.
Don't miss Straight Talk on Retirement with Jeff and Aaron Lapidus every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Join this dynamic father-daughter duo every Saturday morning for an entertaining and intimate understanding of the retirement needs you may soon be facing. From decades of financial planning expertise combined with a deep knowledge of healthcare benefits, Aaron and Jeff will give you the Straight Talk on Retirement every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. right here on the Big 550 KTRS.
Truck drivers, the holiday rush is here. Take advantage by becoming a Schneider driver. By driving for one of America's busiest carriers, you'll stay busy during the holiday season and throughout the new year. Plus, as a Schneider driver, you'll have access to top quality driver support and newer equipment spec'd with the latest safety and comfort features that drivers want. Don't wait. Get a jump on 2026 by exploring jobs in your area today at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
This is Mariah, third generation at Newsteaders Fine Jewelry. Buying an engagement ring can be intimidating. At Newsteaders, we ensure complete understanding of your purchase. We offer a choice in both lab and mine-grown diamonds and are able to work with any budget. Let our family help educate you on your choice at Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or at wowdiamonds.com.
Galmish & Sons have been providing quality heating and cooling services since 1950. They work exclusively with Lennox, the preferred choice of St. Louis homeowners. Call Galmish & Sons for your next Lennox HVAC installation and service. 314 844-993-1110.
Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or at your local CVS.
The Big 550 has been live and local for 29 years, covering local news and keeping you informed with national and world news from ABC News.
Now, our local news coverage is even more extensive.
As KTRS now carries the First Alert 4 10 p.m. newscast, Monday through Friday. Join the names you know and trust.
This is First Alert 4 at 10. I'm Corey Stark.
I'm Samantha Jones.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton with a First Alert update on what's happening.
And sports from the Sports on 4 team. Just one more reason why KTRS is live, local, and your hometown locally owned station. The Big 550 and First Alert 4 depend on it. Carney, Buck.
Wednesday, Dr. Ravi Johar joins us to talk about efforts being made to eliminate peanut allergies.
Also, we'll talk sports with our very own Bob Ramsey.
Got a couple of Johnnies on tap, too, with Johnny Londoff and Johnny Law.
Meet us here right at noon.
John Carney, Julie Buck. Weekdays at noon on KTRS, the talk of St. Louis.
All right, welcome back. This is the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS. Some people weighing in on whether they think the sports bra will work in Maplewood coming in June, a new bar restaurant concept. It's in other cities that's going to show strictly women's sports on television. They were probably successful enough at their other locations to give it a try here, writes 314. Let's see. There were some other thoughts on that.
Some saying they're not interested.
Not interested, but I'm a guy. Somebody said, I agree. Women's sports are important to watch and promote, but I don't think there's enough interest to keep one bar and only women's sports showing on the TV.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting concept. I hope they get the other stuff so great, the food, the ambiance, the parking, as a couple of you have texted in on, that they can't help but do this. Have you ever had an Uncrustable sandwich, the Smuckers?
Yeah.
That sell, and are you a fan, Connor, or did you ever eat them as a kid? You were in the generation where they became more popular.
I'm sorry, what was that?
The Uncrustables.
The Uncrustables. I did eat them, and in fact, I still eat them. I have a couple Uncrustables in the freezer at home.
So Smuckers has just sued Trader Joe's under their Uncrustable dupe. They said they're too similars. Of course,
too similar.
Smuckers. I guess they come in the freezer section. I kind of missed it. They weren't around when I was a kid, and I'm too cheap, I guess. I just made my kids peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and said, eat it and like it. But the Trader Joe's are called crustless peanut butter and strawberry jam sandwiches. In the pictures, they do look shockingly similar. And I know people will actually buy these things you can get on Amazon where they make an Uncrustable. It kind of pinches the sides together with peanut butter and jelly in the middle. But Smucker says, we've got too many copycats, but this is the most egregious, and we're suing you for a whole lot of money, and you're going to have to cease and desist copying our Uncrustables.
Yeah. I know Alex has a bunch in his pantry for the kids. They are tasty. There's no doubt about it. But what could beat an actual peanut butter and jelly sandwich on bread?
Yeah, I never minded eating crusts on bread, but but a lot of kids don't. I mean, that's the part they peel off. So I think that's what the whole concept came from. It's like, this is a waste. Let's just give them the part of the sandwich they actually want, which is in the middle.
Now, grilled cheese has become like a really popular thing at great restaurants now, with maybe Texas toast and a little bacon or something with it. Are there restaurants that sell like an upscale peanut butter and jelly?
I have not seen one other than on the kids menu. Sometimes at a place they'll have that as one of the side options. Are you old school? Like, will you eat it on white bread with American cheese, or do you need your grilled cheese a little more elevated than that?
That's assuming I have any white bread, which Monique won't allow in the house. So.
What about? Does she ever allow really good Italian white bread?
On occasion,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, but. It's like, and the peanut butter and jelly, it has to be made, by the way, with the peanut butter you gave me, not with the oily, sucky stuff I have.
If you mix it up, it gets a little more peanut buttery.
It doesn't compare to the one you gave me. Was that Jif? What was that?
I gave you the Costco size of
we
Jif.
finally got rid of it. It's not coming back.
I won't give it. If I want to stay in good graces with your wife, I should not
So
give it to
good,
you
though.
this year for
Oh my gosh.
Christmas again.
Reggie loved it too.
But do you mind having American cheese on a grilled cheese sandwich and with tomato soup, or do you have to have it more elevated?
Great, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at one point does it stop being a grilled cheese? If you're throwing bacon and tomato and turkey on it, that's just a melt.
I just need it to be cheddar or some other cheese that is not American cheese. I do not care for American cheese.
Some of these restaurants, I think the Country Club, Town and Country, they make a really good grilled cheese. Some of them really just do it up great.
Yeah, a lot of people say I'm just being crazy. Trust me, the more unhealthy the food is, generally speaking, the higher rating it gets from me. Sadly, I wish that wasn't the case, but I tend to love all food, including stuff that's not good for me. But fortunately for me, American cheese is one thing that I can leave behind. I do not care for it.
Yeah, and I think your original point about the sports bra was absolutely correct. Like this person texting in about the food angle. We got so many of them right away. I will make it to this place if the food and drinks are yummy and reasonable. You're right. I mean, they could be showing terrible movies. If the food is great, I'm in. That's the bottom line. They got to have a good product. I'm not sure what their product is like, but if it's good, people will go.
Yeah, and there's a real fan here. I've always enjoyed women who play sports for their competitive intensity, their love of team concept, infectious camaraderie, and so hopefully that it's going to be worth going to any bar to see really good competition, whether it's men or women.
Yeah, Frank is so old he remembers Goober's peanut butter and jelly mixed in a jar. I actually do.
I do too. We both are advanced enough. I never got to have it. It's one of those things I saw on Saturday morning cartoons, but that didn't make the grocery list at the Lingwall household.
All right, we have an interesting travel guest coming up.
Yeah, there's some big changes. If you are traveling to Europe, it's a little intimidating. We're going to tell you what you need to worry about and if you can expect any travel delays because of what's going on with the government shutdown. All that coming up. One of our favorite travel agents in the world going to be joining us just after the news. Make sure you stick around.
Everyone's talking about these weight loss drugs, and it's a good thing we've got Dr. Joe Molesky with us, a St. Louis native and board-certified primary care physician. Dr. Joe, it can get very confusing, but the one thing we need to know is GLP-1, right? That's the magic cure.
The magic cure is these weight loss shots. They're injected once weekly. They're not like the old medications that you've seen 20, 30 years ago. These medications actually work. They're injected once weekly, and patients see within the first 90 days 10 to 15 pounds down. It simply works, and that's why I recommend it to all of my patients. You simply go online, book an appointment. You fill out a health questionnaire form. You get an appointment on our schedule. It's all telemedicine based. It's all done from your home. And then you meet with me or one of my nurse practitioners. And then after the 10, 15-minute consult, the medication is delivered right to your door discreetly, and you get started right now on your weight loss journey.
And you want to start to lose weight? None better than to call stlmedweightloss.com and ask Dr. Joe. stlmedweightloss.com.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
News, weather, traffic, sports, and live local talk. This is the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis, Ladue, Glen Carbon, University City, Edwardsville, Manchester, Wood River, Grafton, Collinsville, Pacific, and the world.
Streaming live at KTRS.com.
Depend on it.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen.
The government shutdown is grinding into a third week. Another round of voting on a funding fix measure expected again today in the Senate, but Democrats and Republicans are digging in deeper along party lines. Democrats demanding health care benefits, including Medicaid cuts, and the GOP mega bill be restored. And troubles are growing for furloughed workers, missing paychecks this week, and it is creating a ripple effect at airports with TSA and air traffic controllers on the job without pay. ABC's Sam Sweeney says the agency is already dealing with staffing shortages.
They've already have a very stressful job. Many are working 10-hour days, 6 days a week. The margins are razor thin, meaning there are not very many extra air traffic controllers. So once things really, heat up per se, and people may start calling out sick, well, it only takes a few sick calls to have a significant impact on flights, not just in one city, but all across the country.
Israel cutting aid into Gaza by half today, closing the Rafah crossing, accusing Hamas of violating the ceasefire deal by not returning the remains of all the remaining 20 dead hostages. ABC's Ian Pannell is in Tel Aviv, where families are demanding they be found.
We saw a few of the hostage families still waiting for closure, and they want Israel and America to not forget that their loved ones have still not been returned. Today, the first funeral for one of those captives, his parents waiting over 2 years to finally bury their son.
The Supreme Court is hearing arguments today in a Republican-led challenge to the Voting Rights Act, a critical centerpiece of the civil rights movement. Justices are reviewing a key provision of the law prohibiting racial discrimination in redistricting, taking up a case involving Louisiana's congressional map, which has 2 majority black districts. A ruling for the state could lead to redrawing congressional maps across the South. On Wall Street, stocks are up. You're listening to ABC News.
I'm still, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
This is KTRS News. I'm Sobe Bay. Missouri carried out its first execution of 2025. 48-year-old Lance Shockley was put to death by lethal injection last night for the murder of Missouri State Highway Patrol Sergeant Carl Dwayne Graham Jr. in March of 2005. Shockley had long proclaimed his innocence. Hours before his execution, Shockley released a final statement with a Bible passage from the Gospel of John. So also you have sorrow now, but I will see you again, and your hearts will rejoice, and no one will take your joy from you. The mayor of St. Louis says she is waiting for Sheriff Alfred Montgomery to do the right thing. Montgomery is refusing to resign despite the fact that he's in jail. Yesterday, a federal judge revoked Montgomery's bond after the prosecution argued in court filings that there was a serious risk he would attempt to threaten, injure, or intimidate witnesses or jurors. Meanwhile, St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer issued the following statement. The absurd situation at the sheriff's office has reached new heights and must now come to an end. I urge Sheriff Montgomery to do what's right for the city and resign his office. Should he continue to only prioritize serving himself, I hope the court will move quickly to remove him. Our office stands ready to support the sheriff's office during a time of transition. A Parkway West high school student is accused of bringing a gun to school. School officials say administrators were alerted yesterday of the student being in possession of a gun. They said the gun was confiscated and police were called. Upon investigation, officials say there was no intent by the student to cause harm at Parkway West High School, and the minor did not display the weapon. With winter weather just around the corner, the Missouri Department of Transportation will hold its annual winter operations drill tomorrow. Motorists may notice an increased number of MoDOT vehicles on state routes during the drill, which will begin at 8 a.m. in rural areas and 9 a.m. in urban areas. The exercise is expected to be completed by 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. This KTRS Business Minute is brought to you by Walter Knoll Florist, the place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. A federal judge is siding with Nelly in a $50 million copyright lawsuit. The judge ruled that the rapper and St. Louis native be reimbursed legal fees stemming from a baseless and frivolous lawsuit filed by one of his former St. Lunatics bandmates last year over a copyright dispute. And now let's take a look at the markets, brought to you by JBL Financial. Tune in to Straight Talk on Retirement Saturday mornings from 9 to 11 a.m. On Wall Street right now, the Dow Jones up 86 points to 46,356. S&P 500 is up 29 points to 6,674. The Nasdaq up 156 points to 22,678. KTRS Sports. Four-star basketball prospect Tristan Reed has listed Mizzou as one of 5 finalist schools. The 6'9" center is also considering Michigan State, Ohio State, Mississippi State, and Maryland. And the Blues are back at home tonight as they welcome the Blackhawks to the Enterprise Center. Chicago is coming off their first win of the season Monday night over Utah. KTRS weather today, mostly sunny, high of 84. Tonight, clear, overnight low of 61. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high of 82. Right now, we have 75 degrees at 11:06. I'm Sobe Bay, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
Welcome back, everybody. Frank and Jill Show, second hour. Really glad you are with us here today. Jill Farmer, Frank Cusimano, Connor McCarthy is here as well. And lucky to be joined by Angie Markaway from Altair Travel and Cruises to help us out. Angie, I have not traveled the world extensively, but the few places I've gone, I have to admit, I enjoyed getting my passport stamped. I thought it was kind of a fun rite of passage of keeping track of a different country than I visited it. And it's been all over the headlines this week, all over the news, that is going to be changing big time thanks to something called EES. What does that mean for average travelers and especially St. Louisans and some of the most popular places they visit?
Hi, Jill. How are you today?
We're doing great. We've had a really good day so
Good.
far, but really glad you're with us.
It's a beautiful day out. Yeah, thank you. Yes, so there are some important changes. I don't want anyone to worry because they are changes that can definitely go smoothly. It's just something that we all need to be ready for. So when you travel now, it started October 12th, but when you travel from, let's say, St. Louis to Paris, when you arrive in Paris, instead of just doing your normal passport check with the agent, you are now going to go through a biometric machine. And what this biometric system is, this machine, is first you're going to scan your passport. When the passport is scanned, it will then ask you a few questions on this machine. The machine will then take your fingerprints, and then at the end, it'll take your photo. This information then will be kept in a biometric check system so that the next time you exit or arrive into Paris, your information is saved. You will still need your passport always. You always need to carry your passport. But this is replacing the stamp that you normally would get when you arrive or depart a country. They will no longer be giving these stamps, at this point. Some of the countries, when you travel, might not have this biometric machine in place because it's being rolled out. So you'll probably see it in the major hubs like Paris, Frankfurt, Amsterdam, but maybe not in the smaller places. So in those smaller places, things would be as normal. You would just get your stamp, arrive, go through customs. But now, but then maybe come April, that system will be upgraded and you would go through the same biometric check when you arrive into that country. But the nice thing is once you do this, it is good for 3 years. So if you go to Paris this year and next year you go to Frankfurt, you don't have to redo it. It'll already be saved in their system.
So, Angie, is the government shutdown impacting travel at all?
It is not. At this point, we have not seen very many delays. Luckily, the people that work TSA are still going to work. They are not being paid. And so I think the longer the government is shut down, things may become, different. But right now, we have not seen any crazy delays because of the shutdown.
Okay, that's good to hear.
It is wonderful news. Yeah.
From a text from a frequent listener here, Angie, is there anything anybody needs to do before you leave the U.S. because of these changes that they're making in all these travel destinations around the world?
That's a great question. Yes, if you're going to the the UK, you do not. There is nothing that you have to do ahead of time. It is just something when you arrive that will be different. There is nothing ahead of time that you have to do on your own.
All right. So what's vogue? What's hot right now? Like when people are calling the great Altair Travel Company, what are they leaning towards, or what are you pushing them to? What's hot?
Oh, thanks, Frank. We get so many calls and so many wonderful people, coming to us for travel. And I would say probably what we have seen as the hot destinations lately has been Iceland. That was in one. We sold a lot of Greece this last year, whether it be a Greece land tour where you're going and you're doing it all by land, or a Mediterranean type cruise. And just the cruising industry is so popular, whether it be an ocean cruise or a river cruise. People just love cruising, as I do. I love to cruise because I think it's just an easy way to go to a destination, see a lot of things in a short amount of time, kind of like, your floating hotel. I love cruising myself.
Okay, another follow-up question. We got a curious listener friend here. Why did Europe make this change? Are they trying to? Is it because they're trying to track terrorism to make sure they know who's coming in and out of countries?
Yes, I think in a security standpoint, this is going to help the European government track people and know who's overstaying or know who is in their country better than what they had before. I think just as a whole, our world has become very digital. I think we all see that daily in our lives. And this is at the end of the day, it's going to help them. It's going to help us because it'll be a smoother process. But, unfortunately, we are going to lose that memory of that stamp because I know many of us, as I do, love looking back at my passport, for the last 10 years and seeing where I have traveled to.
All right, so you mentioned Greece, but what about bang for your buck, maybe in the United States or not that long of a trip? What's great value and a cool place to hit now?
Oh, that's a good question. We sell a lot right now of people going to, like a North Carolina type trip. That area in the fall is just beautiful. The colors change and during the seasons. We're selling a lot of people to Las Vegas who are wanting to go out and see the Oz show. We are selling, people who are looking to go to Hilton Head, maybe to golf, or to Phoenix, looking for kind of a long getaway. That all those places, like a Phoenix has nonstop flights from St. Louis. So anytime you can get a nonstop flight to somewhere, people like that. They like that quickness of getting from St. Louis somewhere nonstop.
You can tell us, and we won't tell everybody else. Just keep it between us. Are you a little nervous about leaving tomorrow on vacation, you and your incredible daughter, Haley, along with McGraw? I mean, just let's talk a little bit through what some of your hesitations or nervousness are about being on vacation with him for 4 days.
Well, we're well traveled with McGraw, so we love traveling with him. We are excited. We've never traveled with Miss Emerson, and this is our first time, traveling with her. We kind of did this group. We're going on a Disney cruise, and it's Disney Halloween themed. And as you guys know, McGraw is not a big fan of Halloween.
True.
So we plan this accordingly because of that. And so we're thrilled. We are excited. Haley is taking my grandson, JR, for his first time on the Disney cruise. And Haley, I took her and my son Kyle when they were younger. And then when I had Macy, we went again. So I've been on it, but this is her first time as a mom with her son to go on it. It's going to be fabulous. So we leave Thursday night. We're going to fly nonstop to Orlando. It's just a 3-night cruise, which is a fun little getaway. And so we get on the ship on Friday and off on Monday. And so we are bringing costumes. McGraw is supposed to be bringing a costume. We're going to have a pirate night. And the nice thing about the Disney cruise is, especially for little guys like JR or even all the
Frank's
way up to,
grandkids, his granddaughters would love it.
I mean, it's just a great chance for those little guys not to have to be in lines to be able to see the characters. There's so many characters that are accessible, very, very accessible on the Disney cruise. And then the shows that they have at night are so fun, they are Broadway kind of type shows, but all Disney themed, so it's going to be fabulous. We're really looking forward to it. And we have, a lot of St. Louis and KTRS listeners going with us. I think there's about 29 of us. So it'll be fun to have those connections with those people, on the ship and with us.
So you're expecting McGraw to be the life of the party, right?
Yes, in full costume. We will take photos.
Yes, we definitely want to see him in the pirate costume. From the 314 on our text line, Angie, before we let you go, Altair Travel is the best. Haley and Angie have been fantastic for us. So on that note, thanks for helping us understand this EES regulation. Sounds like it's nothing we need to worry about, just no more stamps on the passport, but as long as you go through it, it might even make traveling internationally a little simpler once it's all digitally streamlined. So thanks for helping us understand all of that.
Thank you both, and you're exactly right. Nothing to worry about. All right, have a good day.
We will. Thanks. That's Angie Markaway, of course, from Altair Travel and Cruises. Hey, another friend of ours that so many of you have reached out later on and say, thanks for encouraging us to just begin the conversation, to have that talk, to quit avoiding something that we knew would be better if we did in advance. And that is the conversation around assisted living. Of course, many people make that decision when they don't have a choice. There's a health crisis, a memory concern, a loss of a spouse. But lots of people say, why wouldn't I want to go someplace, not when I'm in crisis, but when I'm still living my best life, and just give up the stuff that I didn't like about home ownership, like all of the expensive maintenance, the dangerous things like climbing up on a ladder, cleaning out those gutters. Why wouldn't I let somebody else take over and do weekly linen service, a daily happy hour, laundry services, and anything else that I might need, support if I have a surgery of any kind to help me come back, the ability to have assistance with dressing and showering for the short term or the long term, whatever is needed. And I think that's a really great question to have. And one of the other things that we know is top notch at McKnight Place and all of the Gatesworth properties, the Gatesworth, McKnight Place, and Park Provence. They do such a good job at helping families understand this is the best place for you. This apartment layout is really going to serve your needs. This is going to be the best way that you can use space. And there's no secrets when it comes to pricing as well. A lot of the places, there's all these tier systems and points, and it's just mind-numbing. They keep it very simple, they keep it clear, and they want to make sure that you always go in with your eyes wide open, exactly what you're going to get for your value and for the incredible living experience you will have at McKnight Place. McKnightPlace.com, 314-993-3333.
Hey, it's John Carney. A lot of conversations with the folks over at Allen Roofing, pretty much asking advice, because I know a lot of people got smacked by that storm, and he had some great advice for people to think about. First off, be careful of who you talk to when you're going to get some work done. Make sure there's an agreement and the scope of work is laid out in that contract. Also, as you can imagine, a lot of contractors are busy. Give them some time, and you know what? Allen Roofing will come put a tarp on your roof at no charge, even if you don't use them when you get the roof repaired. Also, check the Better Business Bureau, see what the reviews are for contractors that you deal with. And also remember, insurance companies allow up to an entire year from the date of loss to file a claim. So you've got time to get those repairs done and that replacement done. Don't rush it. Just a few tips from the people that know roofing and repairs better than anyone. It's Allen Roofing, online at aroofing.net.
Tune in Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. for Straight Talk and Retirement with Jeff and Aaron Lapidus for an intimate understanding of the retirement needs you may soon be facing.
Your dentures no longer fit? Maybe you're missing a tooth or several teeth. Visit Dr. Bowen for Simply Secure Dentures and Dental Implants, the cutting-edge, high-quality dental implants that replace all the teeth in your mouth, and it starts as low as $7,000, not the $35,000 that others charge. If you're only missing a few teeth, Dr. Bowen can permanently replace those with something you don't have to take in and out of your mouth. Learn more at simplysecuredentures.com and get the care you need and the teeth you want at Bowen Dental Care or simplysecuredentures.com.
Permajack of St. Louis is synonymous with foundation repair and basement waterproofing across the St. Louis region. They know when you get water in your basement following a storm or when the snow melts, it means you have a problem. Make sure your basement doesn't leak or flood with Permajack of St. Louis. Permajack's basement waterproofing experts can perform a complete inspection of your basement to determine the problem and design a solution to keep water from entering and damaging your home. The solution could be as simple as crack repair or a sump pump, or more comprehensive like exterior waterproofing or an internal perimeter drainage system. No matter the solution, your basement will be dry with Hometown Permajack. Schedule a free inspection and estimate by visiting permajackofstlewis.com. That's permajackofstlewis.com. Permajack, foundation repair and waterproofing. Done right.
It's Julie Buck here to tell you that the patio is open at Bishop's Post right next to Chesterfield Mall. Get your reservations in now and go to Bishop's Post. You will love it. Tell them Julie Buck sent you, bishopspost.com.
Traveling around and want to take the Big 550 with you?
I just got back from the Caribbean. Every morning I'd get up, go for a walk on the top deck of the ship, listening to KTRS on the app.
Download the KTRS mobile app today and see how easy it is to listen.
What a great thing that is.
Anywhere, worldwide.
The KTRS app is great, and I really enjoyed it.
The Big 550, keeping you informed from anywhere. Depend on it. Call the closer with Lauren Risley Realty.
First day on the market, we had multiple offers. They're definitely on top of things, but we loved working with them. They made it so easy for us.
All you need to know about real estate and more.
I am Lauren Risley. I'm here with my right-hand man, Adam Bundren. Every Sunday at 1 o'clock, you'll be hearing from us a full 1-hour show on all things real estate.
Call the closer with Lauren Risley Realty every Sunday afternoon at 1. Powered by Homestead Financial Mortgage on the Big 550 KTRS.
St. Louis is home to more than 80,000 University of Missouri St. Louis alumni, where they drive the region's economy and contribute to its social and cultural well-being. At UMSL, more is what moves us. Find your more and build more connections at more.umsl.edu.
Want a song? Want a quote? It's the song and quote of the day on the Frank and Jill Show. Right here on the Big 550 KTRS.
Members of the British band Def Leppard got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and the person that they asked to give the kind of acceptance and tribute speech on their behalf was none other than John Bon Jovi. Here's what he had to say about it. I am so sorry, Connor. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So I thought for a long time that Def Leppard was a German band because of the open of the song we're going to hear for Song of the Day, where they go, that one where they say it in German, but it's just gibberish that they used instead of a countdown to 4. They're actually a British band. Their original name was Deaf, DEAF, leopard as in the spotted animal, native to Africa, but they thought that wasn't cool enough, so they respelled it Def Leppard in the way that it has been spelled through their career, which is, of course, Def is DEF and leopard is a weird way to spell it as well. But a number of songs, of course, as John Bon Jovi said during that era, Pyromania, very big selling album, and this was the biggest song from it. Of course, that's Rock of Ages from, I think it's 1983. Did you like the show did you like the movie Rock of Ages with Tom Cruise? Do you remember that kind of musical?
Well, I was thinking School of Rock, which I really loved.
I love too, Jack Black. Do you remember that? Did you see that movie?
No, I did not.
I thought it was good. Did you see it?
I did not.
It's kind of just it stars Chance to sing 80s music, and it was kind of a stretch for him. By the way, Bon Jovi, the name, of course, is their last name. Do you know what their family's ethnic origin is?
Do not.
I was guessing French looking at it, but it's definitely Italian because it was.
It's like Bon space Jovi. I mean,
right, but the original apparently when whoever came across at Ellis Island, it was Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
BONGIOVI. That was the original, and then somehow it got respelled into those two words. And so, but the background is definitely Italian, and they claim their Italian heritage for sure.
Seems like a cool cat, aged extremely well. You know, he's just I guess he's like 63 or what is he?
I think maybe.
He is 63.
Oh, good job. Yeah, so he's right in that age range. Slippery When Wet was a seminal album in my in that early junior high into high school age. We literally wore out the cassette tape, and my friends and I in the car. That was one that we were rocking out to frequently.
How about this? One wife. Married 1989, 4 children, 1 wife.
Yes.
I wonder how rare that is.
We have brought that up before. We also do have to do the caveat where he says that is because she was a very, very, very patient
didn't he like admit to like cheating on her?
He's very open about the fact
minor
that,
detail.
that it's great that they lived through it, but she and he will both say maybe most others would not have put up with what she did in those early years thanks to all the groupies.
All right. We have a little bit of time here?
Yeah, we do.
I saw kind of an interesting story. Do you believe in haunted things as we approach Halloween? Do you believe there's in true haunted houses and
ghosts and stuff like that? I have never had the experience. Of course, I shouldn't believe in ghosts since I live in a house that was once a taxidermy studio, and the people had been who did the taxidermy were in the mortician business before that. So it's probably in my best interest that I don't believe or don't have those paranormal experiences. But some people I know in my life and trust, and I know they're really wise, swear that they have had experiences with ghosts. And so I guess, who am I to say?
So there's a historic hotel in Milwaukee. It's called the Pfister. And it's very close to where the Brewers play. And so many visiting teams actually stay there when they come to town. Well, the Dodgers have a really good player named Teoscar Hernandez, and he was initially not afraid of ghosts or staying in this hotel, but because of his wife Jennifer's fear of what may or may not be at this hotel, he moved out. Now, he said he doesn't believe in ghosts, and he stayed there before, but he's been hearing it from other players too. So he basically said some of the rooms, the lights go off and on, and the doors are really noisy and the footsteps. So he moved out of the hotel, and he played last night, and he hit a home run. So many people are crediting that with moving out of the hotel. Mookie Betts, his famous teammate, refuses to ever stay at this hotel, and he gets a bed and breakfast, close to the stadium. Bryce Harper, a superstar, claimed that his clothes were moved from one side of the room to the other,
Oh, boy.
and he will never stay there. So it's a famous hotel, and it didn't seem to hurt the Dodgers because they ended up winning the game. They're up 2-0, but I really don't believe in ghosts, so I would have stayed there.
So you've never had any kind of
No.
scary experiences or anything, and nobody that you trust
Yeah.
has come up with it. What about all the shows and stuff that you watch where they supposedly find the evidence of the ghost hunters, or what is it, Bissell Mansion and Lemp Mansion? Would you say those are the two most famous St. Louis allegedly haunted places? That I think the thing I think is interesting is some people run away from it, and some people can't wait to stay someplace like that.
Yeah, I would love to stay there. I don't think Monique would allow me if she heard the rumors about it, but yeah.
So there's a part of you that's like, bring it on, ghosts.
Yeah, the scarier the better for me.
That's great. How about you? Where do you stand on the are ghosts real or are they not real?
I'm probably more of a skeptic, but I don't know if I'd want to stay at the haunted house anyway, just in case.
Right. Aren't there multiple sides to us on our
Just in
human
case.
psyche? We're like, I don't believe in it, but also maybe I'll hedge my bets.
I'll just stay somewhere that's not known to be haunted.
How about you guys on the Royal Banks of Missouri text line? Is this just superstition? Are the players smart to go be staying somewhere else in Milwaukee? And so you're talking about the visiting team, all those.
Yeah,
those
where
are,
they stay in the Pfister, yeah. In fact, I've been to games there. I don't remember. I think I would have remembered if I stayed in that hotel.
Okay, so somebody from the 314, Liz, thanks so much. Pfister is super haunted. It's a beautiful old hotel, but it's got that haunted vibe. I have stayed there, and trust me, you can just feel it. So we have a first-hand account, so you'll have to go up there and test it out yourself.
What was the was it Amityville Horror, the James Brolin movie that was about a house that was really haunted? It got a great deal of fanfare. I don't think it was a great movie, but it came out soon after. Yeah, Amityville House. That's what it was called. But it was famous when it came out. I don't think it was a great movie though.
I went to see that movie with a bunch of friends when we were in junior high, and because I'm such a chicken, it was one of those ones that almost as soon as the movie started, I got a quote-unquote stomach ache, and luckily, since we lived in a small town, I could just walk home from the movie theater by myself. I was like, oh, I really wish I could stay and watch this, but I just can't. I'm going to have to go home.
It came out after The Exorcist and The Omen, which were like unbelievable movies, particularly The Omen. That's one of the best movies I think I've ever seen. And it just didn't deliver. It had a good cast, had Margot Kidder and Rod Steiger, but it just didn't deliver.
Right. But of course, the most famous movie about a haunted motel would have to be the Stanley Hotel, right, which was supposed to be haunted.
Yeah.
And then the Jack Nicholson movie. What was the famous line? Red rum, red rum. Did he win an award for The Shining?
Oh boy, I don't know. He should have.
Yeah, I mean that performance was one of a kind. Many people say he transformed himself into somebody that was the stuff of nightmares. Are you a Shining fan, Connor?
I've watched. I don't know if I'm a fan or not, but I do like it. I think it's a good movie, but I don't like the genre very much, horror. And I know some people would say it's not really a horror movie, but I think it's scary.
Yeah,
so.
Somebody's saying on the Royal Banks, Missouri, it is called Amityville Horror. Okay, favorite haunted houses or places that you think believed to be haunted here in St. Louis on the Royal Banks, Missouri text line 84126. And then, of course, the other question is, what's your favorite haunted, scary movie this time of year? Always fun to hear from you about that as well. Hey, somebody just pointed out to us when we were talking about our friends at Miller Furniture that if you haven't been over to the new flagship or to the newly remodeled flagship location in Belleville, Illinois, of course, they've had a showroom there since the beginning. You have to go do it because it's a place of, to quote the listener who pointed this out, it's a place of inspiration. You're going to go in there and you're going to say, wow, this is how incredible my house could look. The way furniture is laid out, the styles that are classic yet modern, make things feel fresh, make your house feel like you want to come home to it every day. And whether you're looking for something that is highly functional and extremely comfortable but still looks good, or you want something that's more of that magazine showroom, or perhaps you want to marry those two things together and have it be absolutely beautiful looking, as great as any magazine that you would see, but also incredibly functional. Miller Furniture is the place to go. They sell furniture brands that they know, trust, feel great about. They're recognized nationally, winning awards for being the Retailer of the Year by the Home Furnishings Association because of things like incredibly high customer service ratings and just going above and beyond for customers to make sure they love what they buy and that they find something in their home that they can keep for many years to come. Miller Furniture, fourth-generation family-owned business. Again, flagship location in Belleville, 55,000 square foot showroom in Fairview Heights, and locations in Lake St. Louis at the Meadow Shopping Center, Ellisville off Manchester Road. Visit MUELLERfurniture.com to see their selection and learn more.
And now, KTRS weather.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton, and warm and well above normal afternoon again, a high of 84, partly to mostly cloudy at times, but the warm and dry pattern continues for Wednesday, and it goes right into Thursday, although more sunshine, mostly sunny, and a high of 83 Thursday afternoon. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton for the Big 550 KTRS.
Let's talk about high school for just a moment, because that young man you brought home from the hospital yesterday, you're going to blink your eyes, and all of a sudden now you start talking about high schools. Well, that's where St. Mary's Southside Catholic High School comes in, because it's an all-boys, independent Catholic high school. And what St. Mary's will do is they will prepare your son to be the future. Whether it's college, trade work, or a career of their choice, St. Mary's, over the years, has produced a whole lot of millionaires and a couple of billionaires along the way. And when you graduate from St. Mary's, you have that alumni as a resource. Schedule your visit today and find out more about St. Mary's. stmaryshs.com. That's stmaryshs.com. They will teach the skills that are needed to thrive and survive in the 21st century, as well as teaching old school values. To find out more, stmaryshs.com. That's stmaryshs.com.
Every January, the gyms are full and the resolutions are big. But by February, most people have already given up. That's why Premier U helps people flip the script. Don't wait for January. Fall is the perfect time to start a weight loss journey. Premier U's personalized programs use today's most effective weight loss medications paired with expert support. Why wait to start fresh? Call Premier U today or visit premierumed.com to get started. Your future self will thank you.
Dr. Joe, it can get very confusing, but the one thing we need to know is GLP-1, right? That's the magic cure.
Yeah, they're on the med, and these medications are used, these GLP-1s, for reducing inflammation in your body. I get so many folks that are like, wow, I don't have the knee pain. I don't have the...
Because once you start losing weight, all these other things naturally happen to you in a positive way. Not just talk about the deals for KTRS listeners at stlmedweightloss.com.
All KTRS listeners, they get $50 to $100 off their first month. And what's beautiful about it too, hey, I get it. The economy, what we just had, guys, things are difficult right now, but we make the plan work for you. We have financing options. We make this work for you because we realize how important it is to get down in your weight, get your confidence back, and really start feeling like the old you.
Call stlmedweightloss.com and ask Dr. Joe. stlmedweightloss.com.
Altair Travel and Cruises is proud to sponsor KTRS Pink in support of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and they're partnering with one of their preferred suppliers, Alma Waterways. River cruising is a hot way to travel right now, and Altair and Alma Waterways are offering $100 off any new Alma Waterways river cruise bookings made through Altair October 1st through the 31st. Call Altair today to book your next river cruise at 314-968-9600 or online at altairtravel.com.
At Midland, we know sometimes all it takes is a moment for an idea to spark or to make it happen. A moment to find your dream, or build one. A moment to start your forever, or at least start planning for it. Whatever moments you have, Midland is here for them, and can help you make them. Midland, brighter together. Visit us at midlandsb.com. Midland States Bank is member FDIC.
The Bommarito Automotive Group is Missouri's #1 automotive group. They've sold over 1 million vehicles by giving you a better price, a better selection, and more for your trade. You can shop them online, see their entire inventory at bommarito.com.
That was probably my favorite Def Leppard song.
This is probably their biggest hit, in my opinion.
Yeah, the Pour Some Sugar on Me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not. It wasn't probably the most appropriate song for me to be singing out loud all the time when I was in high school, but I certainly rocked out to it back in the day, and I imagine it's in the era of many of our other listeners as well. Let's talk real briefly, Frank, about you had a fun lunch. You were the keynote speaker for some diehard Mizzou fans yesterday. What was the big topic for that conversation?
Well, yes, it was at Llewellyn's in Webster Groves, which is a terrific place. I mean, you couldn't build a restaurant like that now. And they're famous for their white chili and their burgers. Really, just a terrific place to go to in Webster Groves. And it's actually called the Tiger Club. It used to be called the Quarterback Club, but they switched it to the Tiger Club. And it was probably about maybe 200 passionate Mizzou football fans that wanted to get kind of a state of the program at this point in time. And I think the hottest topic is Coach Drinkwitz, who called the job rumors a distraction, and he said, quote, "I wouldn't worry." And I know I have Mizzou fans calling or texting me about, oh, he's on the Penn State list. Penn State is going to try to hire Matt Rule first, and then if they don't get him, or they may go to Kurt Signetti from Indiana second. I think Drinkett could be on the list, but I don't think he's top of the list for them. I think Auburn and Florida are. But look, as I've said before, he's in a great situation. He can have seasons where he doesn't win 10 games and he doesn't have to worry about job security. He makes $9 million a year. He's got plenty of NIL money. He's worked well with the legislators in Jeff City to get some things passed that help his program. So I don't think he's going to.
Are we just in an era? I mean, I obviously don't follow this nearly as closely or care as much as the rest of my family is. The Matt Rule Nebraska thing has the blood pressure up for the three big Nebraska fans in my household. But I've always just, been a mediocre Iowa Hawkeye fan, and I've been thrilled with what's happened at Mizzou compared to the early years being in St. Louis and following them in football. So I think great things are happening. But I do wonder how somebody like the Penn State coach who's who's fired mid-season and is going to get paid, is it $50 million?
Yeah, 45 to 55 million is the buyout.
And that's the buyout. So I don't know that money is as big of a driver in this way. I mean, if that kind of crazy money is getting thrown around, we may be projecting onto these coaches. We're like, $9 million and living in Columbia. That's great. He should love that. But when those kind of deals are out there that you can get fired mid-season and you can still walk away with $55 million, this is going to sound very non-sportsy, and a lot of you who are diehard sports fans and came over with Frank from KFNS are not going to like this. But I think it's a sign. It's a bad sign for society when we are spending this much money on college kids and not letting other college kids go to school because there's not scholarship money to send them, because the money's going in to pay them millions of dollars to change teams every year, and coaches who get fired walk away with millions of dollars that could do other good things. I know I'm going to sound like a curmudgeon and a sports Luddite, but I think it's out of control.
Well, I think everybody that's reasonable would agree with you, but I don't know if like the buyout, like Texas A&M, this is the most egregious, had to pay Jimbo Fisher when they fired him $76 million. That's the buyout. But does that affect the tuition of what Texas A&M students are paying? I'm not sure. It may be connected.
Well, the only reason I'm basing that on is talking to a couple people who are pretty big donors in the alumni program that we're included, that have started making decisions to say it's like a hungry ghost. That we were all happy to put money in to try to build the Drake program, and they said one of the big donors, a really great guy, but he said at some point my wife and I are like, we've been blessed, we give a lot of money, but at some point we're like, we can give in these monies to a basketball player who's going to play for a year versus we can send 2 or 3 kids to college for 4 years on a full ride at the same university. And we're starting to ask the question where our dollars are better spent. And I thought those are good questions to ask.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And I don't want to criticize anybody who has spare change for contributing to NIL to help buy these players. You do what you want with your money. But I got to tell you, the money that I want to give away is I want to give it away to like meaningful charities and churches. I mean, if you're going to give away, like in the Christian world, there's a thing called tithing, and it's 10%. I'd want to give and I do, to churches and charities as opposed to getting a Mercedes-Benz for a 19-year-old who can throw a football. So do what you want with your money, but I would think, sometimes I wonder, if you have a certain amount of income you can give away, why would you do that?
Well, and so then I guess that leads me to, this is, I'm always trying to insert psychology in things, but if if millions and millions of dollars are there, more money than most of us will, in 1 year, 99% of us will not retire with anywhere near $9 million, which is what what Drink is getting every single year now. Yeah. So at some point these coaches are making decisions to leave programs where they're being very well paid and very well treated for the panache and the ego of moving up in the world. I mean, that is a factor for people. And so I hope it's not for Coach Drink. I wish he would stay as well, but
yeah. There was once a famous coach at St. Louis University who's in Halls of Fame. His name is Rick Majerus, and he always had this line is, "Don't run from happiness." And I think Coach Drink has happiness in Columbia. Beautiful house, his kids love it. Not the heavy pressure. You take a job to go to Florida where there's a more fertile recruiting base, and maybe they pay him $2 million more a year. That's fine, but you are running from happiness. Sometimes that burns you.
How long is this discussion? Because a lot of times it is just pundits guessing. None of us really know what the heck we're talking about. We're all guessing. We don't know what's really happening behind the scenes. But how long will this discussion go on? Is it a decision that's going to be made sooner than later?
Well, it'll go on until Penn State has a press conference to announce their new coach, and Florida has a press conference, and Auburn has a press conference. But I do think he's staying.
Yeah.
By the way, somebody telling me tithing started in Judaism. I did not know that.
Yes, true. So it's a religious practice, I think, in all the major world religions to give what has been given you and share with others. Premier Heating and Cooling, just a company that we love here at the Frank and Jill Show and at KTRS, because it's one of those things that we love telling you about companies and then hearing from so many of you that you had such a darn good experience using this company. It's just one of the things that we're proud of, supporting so many local St. Louis businesses, and St. Louis businesses, especially like Premier Heating and Cooling, been in business for decades and just doing good customer service and having a business that's been built on the solid as a rock foundation of having existing customers spread the word to other customers, and that's how they've been able to grow. And as a homeowner, how great I think they are. You may not know as a business owner and a small business owner, if you own your building or if you're in a building that is not the greatest when it comes to your HVAC, your heating, your cooling, it impacts your customer service, it impacts the way that people experience being with you. It might be time to have that conversation with Premier Heating and Cooling about upgrading your business's HVAC, your business's air conditioning and cooling systems as well. And also, if you think about it, if you're using an old system where you're having to put a lot of money in on repairs and it's inefficient, it's hurting your bottom line as a business as well. PremierHeatingCooling.net. Check out what they can do for your business today. 636-916-1122.
We are here with the man, Ryan Raphael. He's the Medicare man of St. Louis. Ryan, one of the biggest misconceptions about Medicare when people reach the age of 65 is if they don't sign up at age 65, they get penalized.
So really what happens is when people are approaching 65, they get all the literature and things coming at them that looks like they have to do something. If somebody is working, they really do not have to sign up for Medicare as long as they're part of an employer of 20 or more employees and they can take it out down the road and not pay penalties.
So if you're over the age of 65 and you have not signed up for Medicare, there's no penalty. There's no reason why you can't do it at age 65, 66, or 67, or 70.
Correct. Yep.
That is Ryan Raphael. If you're approaching 65 and you have questions about Medicare, he is the man. The Medicare Man, STL.com, 314-368-6808, Ryan Raphael. And if you don't trust me, trust my nanny. My nanny says he's the best. Ryan Raphael, the Medicare Man, MedicareManSTL.com.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardy contractor and Pella Windows specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050. And have a banner day.
The University of Missouri St. Louis is committed to providing top-ranked education. More than 80% of our students receive financial aid. At UMSL, more is what moves us. Find your more and explore your financial aid options at more.umsl.edu.
You know what they say, you never get a second chance to make a first impression, and windows and doors are usually that first impression when it comes to your home. Dalco Home Remodeling custom makes their windows and doors, and better yet, they make them here in Missouri. Dalco Home Remodeling is locally and family owned, celebrating 50 years, so they know a thing or two. The Dalco team is known for quality and customer satisfaction. That's the way it was 50 years ago when they started, and that's still true today. So if you're looking to change the look of your home without breaking the bank, call Dalco Home Remodeling. They do free in-home estimates. Just call 314-298-7300 and make an appointment. You can also check them out online at dalcohomeremodeling.com. As they've always said, if you buy somewhere else and find out how much you could have saved at Dalco, you'll blow your stack. So call Dalco first, 314-298-7300.
All right, fall and winter is upon us, and so now you got to close the window to keep the heat in, and that window is a sieve. It doesn't work, it doesn't lock, it rattles around in the wind. That means it's time to talk to my friend and neighbor, Larry Thornton, the owner of the window store. He has been a proud owner of that store for 37 years. His son, Joe, and Larry work together to bring you the best in price, selection, and customer service. That's right. They go up against the big boys, and they beat them every single time because they're better price, better selection, customer service is fantastic. They don't stand in the middle of your living room and demand that you buy. They do most of their work with a handshake and a smile. They love to talk to you, and they love to sell you a window or a door. Better pricing, better company, The Window Store. 314-739-0002 or wswindow.net.
For over 100 years, Kuna Food Service has been distributing the highest quality food products to some of your favorite restaurants while delivering superior customer service. When a restaurant puts their trust in Kuna, they get a team that truly cares about their success. Check them out online at kunafoodservice.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Before we wrap up the Frank and Jill show today, of course, this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October, and KTRS has always been committed to supporting charities and organizations that do what they can to support women on their breast cancer journey, help find a cure for breast cancer, and all the things that impact so many women and families in our St. Louis region. We're very happy today to be joined by Katie Manga, CEO of Gateway to Hope, which is an organization that serves women on that breast cancer journey in their lives. Thanks so much for being with us today, Katie.
Thanks, Jill. Thanks, Frank, for having me.
For somebody who is just hearing about Gateway to Hope for the first time, what is it that you do?
We support women all the way through the entire breast health process, is what we like to say. For anyone who's been through a mammogram, maybe you get a call back because something's suspicious, all the way through. We all know someone, love someone, or are someone who's experienced breast cancer. That's a whole continuum and a whole process, and it's pretty complicated. So we help women get access to that early detection care that's going to save their lives, all the way through treatment that is also going to save their lives and improve their quality of life as well.
And how about the success rate and what you're accomplishing?
Yeah, so the most important thing that we focus on is making sure that women feel healthy and whole throughout that entire process. So we do measure some things about that, but we also really want to make sure that people are accessing care. So our women are 4 times more likely to access that life-saving care than women who aren't able to receive our services. So we want to make sure we can serve everyone who needs us.
I think you guys do such a great job. It's, on your website of telling people, people can say, I need some support. And you can click into, I need a mammogram, I have cancer, somebody close to me, a patient, a spouse, somebody who I love is going through a breast cancer journey. And then each one of those things they click on is gonna guide them to a different level of support.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. And it should be super easy. Just fill out your contact information and someone from our team will be in touch in pretty short period of time. We try to turn that around in at least 3 days, if not faster.
So how many are you dealing with? How many women are you taking care of now?
This year, we will serve about 1,000 women across the St. Louis region as well as the whole state of Missouri.
And what are your roots? What was the seed that was planted to start this incredible service for women in our region?
I love telling this story, such an inspiring story. So Gateway to Hope was founded by two physicians who were in medical practice together, surgeons, Dr. Marla Shue, Dr. David Kaplan, who saw patients coming to them who had delayed care because they couldn't afford it or had challenges accessing the care. And they started providing free medical care. That obviously our model has changed over time, and there's a lot more advancements in treatment since 20 years ago when we were founded. And so our mission really is still the same, is to make sure that access is there and to try to get, I like to think about it like a river, try to get further upstream so that women aren't delaying care, because breast cancer has a 90+% cure rate if it's caught soon enough.
So breast cancer is actually rising, but deaths are declining. Is that correct?
So incidence rates have stayed about the same for the last several years. And yes, deaths have been declining. Unfortunately, what we see is that if you were to look at a graph, you would see that incidence rates have stayed kind of flat. Deaths overall have started to fall over the last 20 years or so, thanks to advancements in treatment, but not for everyone. Women who don't have access to insurance, low-income women, and even rural women, because of geography alone, can't always access those treatments. So Gateway to Hope is here to try to close that gap.
Okay, so before we let you go, if somebody's saying, I know somebody in my life who needs the support, and I want to refer them to what Gateway to Hope can do for them, how can they reach you? And if somebody wants to donate because they know the incredibly important work you're doing in the world?
Super simple. Just go to our website, gthmo.org, and at the top of the page, there's a Get Support link or a Donate link, and either one of those will take you where you need to go.
So great. Thanks for doing such great work and for bringing care and helping people who, unfortunately, in the past maybe wouldn't have even survived breast cancer because they're not getting the treatment, get to that treatment. It's a very important work in the world. Katie Menga, CEO of Gateway to Hope.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of the program. John Carney, Julie Buck coming up next. We'll take a break and we'll be back in 22 hours.
There are over 10,000 reasons why steel is not sold at Lowe's or Home Depot. Find tools for the job site or your own backyard at over 10,000 authorized local steel dealers. Find yours at steelusa.com.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced